Today's show is presented by Prize Picks. What's going on, Packers fans? Welcome into an all-new episode of the Pack a Day podcast. I'm your host, Andy Herman. You can follow me on Twitter at Andy Herman NFL, and of course, the podcast at Pack a Day Podcast. No practice on Monday. Day 13 will be today on Tuesday. It's supposed to be a longer practice, about 2 hours and 20 minutes. We will get you all set for that. But in order to do so, I am joined by the one, the only, Justis Mosqueda, acmepackingcompany.com, at JUMOSQ on social media. Justis, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. Last day in California, and then I get to sleep in my own bed for the first time in like a week. So excited.
There you
about
go.
That.
You ready to be back?
Yeah.
I am. I don't know how you feel about this. Especially now that I'm doing like a podcast every day and everything, I am so routine based that if I like travel somewhere like that now and I am like not in a routine, I feel like completely lost. Everything feels off. So when I do something like that, I enjoy it. I try to relax and just do what I can. But as soon as I get kind of back in the routine, things feel right again.
I just like, I 3 days is what I get. And then I'm like, I want to be back in my own bed. That's it. I need to go back to my own bed.
Yeah, I totally feel that as well. We've got a lot to get into. I know you and Aaron Nagler had the opportunity to talk over on Cheesehead TV. Fantastic episode. If you guys haven't checked that out, go check that out. You guys talked 53, which completely stole my idea of what we were going to talk about today, but that's okay. We'll talk about that a little bit, but I have a lot of things that I want to dive into. If you missed Justis and I the other day, we did record, that was just yesterday on Sunday, kind of going live after practice. And we talked a bunch of things about the preseason game, kind of where things stand right now. We talked about practice on Sunday, so you can check that out as well. But as you can imagine, Justis, I thought of more things to ask you. So you are out of luck. You still have to go through this and answer a bunch of questions today.
Sure. Let's go for it. Let's do it.
Let's do it. I want to start first and foremost with the Aaron Banks situation. This and the Keyshawn situation seem to be the things that are of most on topic right now in Packers Nation. Let's start with Aaron Banks because I think this is interesting. I found the initial Matt LaFleur conversation about Banks interesting in and of itself. And then once he's like, well, ask Aaron Banks if there was any sort of, surgery that took place or anything. I find it even more intriguing now that he's like, no, I didn't have any procedure done. And all of the coaches and the training staff and everyone's on the same page. And it's just, we have to be patient with it. It feels like I'm missing a piece to the puzzle because for Matt to answer the question that way doesn't make a ton of sense if the coaches and the training staff and the player are all on the same page and that there wasn't a procedure done. And it's really, unless Aaron Banks is just lying, there feels like there's a piece missing, Justis. I don't know what to make of it.
Yeah, what was Matt's grade with communications with players on the NFLPA thing?
It did not go great. It was was it a C? I think somewhere in there, B minus C.
So it doesn't make sense. You're right. Unless Banks is lying, and I'm assuming that he's telling the truth. I have no reason to believe that he's lying. I will give one example. I think I DM'd you. It was the Friday before the playoff game, and I had the information on the Zach Tom stuff, the Zach Tom knee injury. Yeah, I was like, "There's no way he's playing. Like he's getting, he had like the rich platelet, whatever, shot into his knee and stuff. I mean, it was a real Hail Mary. But that entire week, he was talking about, Matt was like, "Yeah, he's gonna play. He's gonna play. He's gonna play." And then it kind of, lessened. The strength of his words lessened throughout the week, but that was all for posture and stuff like that. I guess going into that playoff game, well, I guess his name isn't Tom anymore, right? It's Baka Boele, but his camp wasn't happy about that. So it's not like this is the first time that Matt's kind of gone up there and said something about like injuries, and it seems weird and it puts pressure on a player in a way that just wasn't necessary.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's happening with the Banks thing. Seems weird. If the team did tell Banks to get surgery, so this is how the process would play out. Okay. The team would tell Banks to get surgery. Banks would either have gotten the surgery or not gotten the surgery. if he didn't want to get the surgery, what you have the option to do, and you guys are going to remember this from the like Micah Parsons back injury stuff when he was dealing with that stuff in Dallas, you go to a independent third party and you have them check you out because that's part of like the NFL rules. If you don't, quote unquote, trust your medical staff, you could seek outside guidance, and that's perfectly fine. You don't have to listen to your team by the letter of the law, in
Right.
terms of your body and stuff like that. So if they told him get surgery, the independent third party told him get surgery, and he still didn't get surgery, that's how you end up with the Christian Wilkins situation where not only do you avoid guarantees moving forward, which Banks doesn't have guarantees moving forward, he just had his salary converted into a signing bonus. But you can claw back some of that money for the proration because you're like, hey, you didn't do, what you were supposed to do under this contract, so we just pay you. He's under a 4-year deal, right? It would take time to claw back that money, but you would end up getting that money and cap space back and all that, and say, hey, you did 1 year's worth of service. You'll get 1 year's worth of salary for that. We're not going to claw back the 2025 salary, and you're going to get 1/4 of the signing bonus that you signed for, because that's all we got out of you in terms of fulfilling your duties. I think we're maybe this could have, and this is all hypothetical now.
Right.
Now we are fully in the hypothetical world, right? I think Matt was just being weird. I think that's the answer here, but fully hypothetical world. Team tells him get the surgery. Independent third party tells him you don't have to have the surgery. Banks can then claim that all parties involved are on the same page, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, I guess that's an option. But that's the only thing that I can think of where there's any gray area in this whole thing. Otherwise, I think it's just Matt just being weird.
Yeah, it felt what my initial read on it was Matt was trying to send a message like, hey, it's time to get back to practice. You need to start going. But if he's legitimately having tendonitis and he can't
buddy,
practice,
he could be dealing with that all year.
All year. Yeah, for sure. It's a lingering thing. It's not a great thing to hear. If you're again, I know people's mileage may vary on what they think of Aaron Banks and how important he is or whatever, but
sure.
If you were hoping that Aaron Banks, and again, for a player who last year, when healthy, looked pretty decent, and when not healthy, did not look good at all, for a player who's now going to have to potentially battle knee tendonitis for the entirety of the season, and for somebody who's missed a lot of games throughout his career with a variety of injuries, this is the worst update for an Aaron Banks update that you could pretty much get.
Yeah. The other thing too, I don't want the coaching staff that I know is involved in free agency and scouting and all this stuff. It's why they're not going to the combine anymore and things like that. I don't need you guys to be moody when you guys gave Aaron Banks that contract, knowing that he had a long injury history coming into this thing, and you guys gave him a ton of money.
Yep. It's all
take I said, some accountability on that too.
Just feels like there's some a small piece missing to something that just doesn't totally add up to everything. But I'm with you. I think it was just a bizarre answer from Matt. I don't know if he just didn't want to get into injury details, or maybe he didn't know. Maybe he's just ask Aaron about it. I don't know. It was just a weird situation. Maybe much ado about nothing.
The Damani thing. Someone asked last week, right? They were like, "Did Damani Jackson have abdominal surgery during the offseason?" He was like, "Who told you that?" Yeah. So I don't. Yeah.
Who knows? The more importantly, with or without Aaron Banks being healthy to start the year, it does legitimately seem like Jacob Monk, Jager Burton, etc., have gotten their names in this conversation. What does the starting guard spot look like to you to start the season?
With Anthony Belton playing that sixth offensive tackle role, and again, let's have the asterisk that Kennard wasn't in practice on Sunday, right?
Yep.
Maybe that could have changed things. With Belton not being on the field, I think we're trending towards Burton and Monk. And I think we're going to waste about a month with Monk. and then Belton is going to end up starting at right guard because Monk isn't strong enough and he's too small.
Yeah.
That's not what fans want to hear, but hey man, we've completely messed up this offensive line before. We set back the development of Jordan Morgan by 2 full years.
Pretty much.
So it's totally on the table that we do it again with Anthony Belton. So I do not like what I see from the plan that they're doing with the offensive line right now. Belton needs to be playing guard. This is ridiculous.
For a team that stresses best 5 and seemingly is like indifferent.
And they go up on the mic and they're like, you get small in a hurry. And I'm like,
big doesn't get small.
Guys, watch the Monk film, man.
Big doesn't
I understand
get
you guys like that. He's like some gritty guy. He might be great in the locker room. What does that do for me on Sundays, man?
Yeah. I hope Monk goes out, has a great season, earns it. That'd be great. That'd be wonderful. But he's got a long way to go. I do think that Belton is a guard. I think he should be practicing there. I think that's your most upside play at the moment. But just going back, like for the team that is seemingly indifferent to positions and just best 5 guys out there, they do not have a great track record of getting the best 5 guys out there in spots that make sense. It might even sometimes be the best 5, but they're in the wrong order, in the wrong place at the wrong time. It's such a weird thing. It just doesn't seem like they can get it down right now. And like there was a point in time, Robert Mays talks about this on the Athletic Football Show sometimes, where he's like, there used to be like this feeling for the Packers in the offensive line of like, whatever they do, they're probably going to get it right. Like they're going to draft some 5th round guy that was a tackle, move him into guard, and he's going to be really good. And like you just sort of gave him the benefit of the doubt of like, oh, you've got a 7th round Rasheed Walker playing tight, it'll work out. Oh, David Bakhtiari, 4th round pick is playing tight, it'll work out. Zach Tom's playing whatever, yep, it'll work out. Like you sort of had this reverence for him, or like whatever they do, it's going to fit and they're going to make it work. And as of late, it's almost like the opposite. It's like I don't have any faith that they're going to get the right peg in the right hole. It just has been off.
Yep, and all this changed when Steno and Butkus got promoted. But if you talk about coaches and how the Packers don't fire coaches and how they don't want to pay buyouts and all that stuff, people get mad at you. So,
hey friends, it's time to take a pizza break with Luigi's Frozen Pizzas. Today we are talking about the original Mighty Meaty Pizza, Wisconsin mozzarella, Italian sausage, ham, pepperoni, bacon crumbles, a 12-inch thin and crispy crust. It is a timeless, traditional thin crust frozen pizza, perfect for the family, loaded with toppings, and most importantly, absolutely delicious. So head to the grocer nearest you, head to the freezer section, and pick out your original Mighty Meaty Luigi's Pizza today. Head to luigispizza.com to find the location nearest you and make sure to give them a follow at Luigi's Pizza. This pizza break was brought to you by Luigi's Pizza. Hey friends, it's time to get our prize picks in. We've got a fun one today. We're going with receptions for the season. I have to start with Jackson Smith-Njigba. More than 99.5 receptions. There's no Kenneth Walker. I feel like he's going to have to be a major focal point of that offense. Justin Jefferson, more than 90.5 receptions. I have a feeling, unfortunately, he's going to bounce back in a significant way this year. Travis Kelce, fewer than 65.5 receptions. I just don't think he has it anymore. I think this is going to be his last year. I think there'll be some moments, but I don't think we're going to see this epic season from Travis Kelce. And then Teteroa McMillan, more than 72.5 receptions. Again, kind of like Jackson Smith-Njigba. I think he's going to have to be a focal point of that Carolina Panthers offense. So those are my 4. Simple $5 with the opportunity to win 50. It's going to be a very fun season, and I'm going to keep an eye on all 4 of these players. The best part is when you play a $5 lineup, you can win 150 by using that code HMA. Again, when you play and win a $5 lineup, you can win 150 by using code HMA. Terms and conditions apply. See Prize Picks for details. Here's the thing. Go download the app. Use that code HMA. Get that $5 win the 150. Make sure to give me a follow at Andy Herman NFL. They're available in Wisconsin and a bunch of states nationwide. What are you waiting for? Get your Prize Picks in today. Fair enough. Hopefully they get it right. I'll be interested to see what it looks like going into next week if Belton does start getting more time at guard, because he is getting very few reps at guard.
I'm now like pressing with all the injuries and stuff like that. I kind of got getting him worked in at tackle and all that stuff. But now that like it's getting closer to the season and he hasn't gotten like guard reps in like 2 weeks, and now we're seeing him get in as a tight end in the 6-0 line stuff. I'm like, enough is enough, dude.
Yeah.
No, it can't, like, if you think a spot is up for grabs and you're going to have Banks and Monk and Burton fight for it, go for it. And I don't think Monk is going to win that battle. But if you're just like, yeah, we're just handing Burton and Monk the job already, and, Belton is going to be a backup tackle, it's like, holy crap, dude.
Yeah.
We're going to be so bad. We're going to, we're not going to be able to run the ball, and we're not going to be able to rush the passer for the first month of the season. Good luck.
It seems like a problem. I was asked about this today. Somebody asked me of like, how do you feel about the Packers training camp so far? And I'll be honest, like I have not really known how to answer this question. I don't know if I'm just like, yeah, I can't see the forest through the trees. Like I'm in the middle of camp and I just can't see it. But this feels like the most that I've just felt like I don't know what to make of this right now. And then it sort of just kind of hit me, the same exact three things that I had questions / concerns about going into training camp: the offensive line, the pass rush without Micah, and the corner room are the three things that I still have the most question about today. You may disagree on corner, and I do feel like there's more answers at corner.
Well, I disagree about the pass rush a little bit too. But
oh, okay. All right. Let's talk about that.
I just think Sorrell's been playing well.
I
think he's been putting out good reps in family night, and the short look that we got him on in the preseason.
To what level? Like, are we talking?
I think he's going to be a positive run defender, and then they're going to scheme up stuff in terms of the pass rush.
Better or worse than Kingsley Enagbare last year?
Probably similar.
Okay. So if I told you last year you went into a game with LVN and Kingsley Enagbare as your two primary edge rushers, how would you feel about that?
If I knew that we were going to blitz and do all this stuff, and I believe that LVN is taking a step forward and kind of took that step forward the last month of the season when he returned from injury last year. Like, I don't know, not that bad. Kingsley Enagbare made $10 million per year, right? So
he did. I would not have done that, but he did. I'm less convinced. I do think Gannon's going to be much more creative, and I think he has the benefit too of going into the season knowing that he's not going to have Micah for those first 6 weeks, where obviously Hafley had to adjust. So I do think there's answers there, but those are still my questions that I have. I'm not saying that they don't have answers. And by the way, going back to the offensive line for just a moment, friend of the show, Mike Wall, tweeted out he got to some film study on Jager Burton and said, quote, "Burton does all the little things really well for anyone, not just a rookie. Not surprised he's getting some first team consideration." So
that's why I'm always very surprised about the Monk stuff, because I'm like, Burton is playing better.
Yeah.
Burton is playing cleaner. And
I do wonder what
Belton's maybe not playing cleaner, but he's caving in heads. And the way that we run the football, if you don't reset the line of scrimmage, you don't get to run the ball. No. And then you don't get to have play action.
Yep.
And that's what this whole thing is based off of. So,
I do wonder what this looks like if Banks is healthy and just clearly the left guard. Is this just Burton at right guard? Are we like, is Banks and anyone else not even in the conversation? Or is it more of like a platoon between Burton? I do wonder what that would look like if Banks was
I would want Belton on the field.
Yeah.
I would want Belton on the field.
I don't disagree. I think Belton is one of the best five. If you want to get best five guys out there, I actually still think Belton's one of the best five.
Yep. So
if
you want to have, I'd be like, I wouldn't. Clearly, I'm pretty miffed, right? Because I'm going to have to watch this football team, and it feels like I'm watching the same thing happen again, where we're mismanaging an offensive line situation, right? If it were Burton and Belton at guard, and Ryan at center, and Morgan and Bakabuele at tackle, and they were like, yeah, Banks might not get into the starting lineup, you wouldn't hear me complaining.
Yeah, I'm with you.
But the fact that it seems like they're really trying to wedge Monk into this, and I'm just like, he is not a people mover. He's just not what you need as a starting guard in this scheme.
I've said from the very beginning, even when I watched his tape in college, before he even got drafted by Green Bay, he reminded me a bit of Lucas Patrick. who is a small offensive lineman, can play center guard, who's like the first guy up off the bench if you need an interior guy you can plug in if need be. But in an ideal world, that's not the guy that's starting for you. And if you have Lucas Patrick with your four guys next to him being Bulaga, Bakhtiari, Corey Lindsley, and Josh Sitton or TJ Lang, and Lucas Patrick is your fifth guy, or Jacob Monk is your fifth guy, fine. You can survive with that. But there's too many other questions that it doesn't fit. And I would go with even just the bigger upside play here. And I'll just add on top of it, even if I did have Sitton, Lindsley, Bakhtiari, and Bulaga, I still would want Belton at right guard rather than Jacob Monk. So there you go.
Yeah, it really is that simple.
Yeah. We're on the same
We'll
page.
see, man. Yeah, I'll probably again, I'm heading home tomorrow. I'll have some time tomorrow before the flight. I'll probably clip up some of these offensive line stuff. I made the mistake of saying on Nagler's show that the game was on Thursday. It's on Friday, so that gives me even more time to get stuff out before the next preseason game. So you guys can get your own eyes on it. At some point, I'll write about kind of what this offensive line situation looks like at APC this week.
Can't wait. We'll be looking forward to that. Let's go from one really fun situation to another. We talked a little bit about Keyshawn the other day. And again, this is another player I think we're pretty much on the same page with. I did a poll today. Did you see my poll?
No, I did not.
All right. I'll give you, you can guess what the results have been so far. So here's my poll. I said I have 4,827 votes on this as of right now. What would you like to see the Packers do with Keyshawn Nixon? Here are your four options. Start him, bench him and have him be cornerback depth, special teams only, or cut/trade him. Would you like to guess where those results currently stand?
I bet those results look like a pyramid. You know, a lot at the bottom, a little at the top.
So here's where it currently is. Actually, the second one is in the lead. 46.6% want him on the bench/cornerback depth. So on the roster, just not a starter, backing up corner, etc. 32.8% want him either cut or traded. 11.3% want him in a special teams only role. 9.2% want to start him. I don't know what percentage of that is Packers fans. This, again, just kind of goes back to what I've been saying. I think the fan base is probably a little bit lower on Nixon than they should be, but Nixon still certainly has work to do. What do you make of all this? And I think the answer is still probably going to be that he's your starting quarterback week one when they break against the Vikings.
Yeah, he's going to start at left corner. Yeah, some of the quotes recently have kind of like been taken out of context, but I don't understand that like Keyshawn is like a click machine right now. Fans have big feelings about Keyshawn. Obviously, like that one tackle attempt in the preseason game and the one in the Bears game, like the effort's got to be better. Like you won't hear me say anything else about that. But like people really ran with like the cornerback is a competition when the next thing that came out of the coach's mouth was because every position is a competition. And they haven't really shown any intent in not having Keyshawn be the one.
Yeah.
Or the left corner. I shouldn't say one. It's
I know what
left
you mean.
corner, right? Like there was like a 2 practice span where St. Juice jumped up when St. Juice was coming off of injury because he had missed a bunch of practices, and Keyshawn worked with the 2s and St. Juice worked with the 1s. And I think that was just them trying to get a player who missed a lot of time, you know, into a bigger workload, basically. He played like, I think it was the first 20 snaps of the game along with Brandon Cisse. Maybe he's miffed that he was still in there with the 2s and stuff when everyone other than the corners in terms of like the entrenched starters, who also included Carl Brooks, by the way. If you guys weren't paying attention to that, I think Brooks is probably going to start at 3-4 defensive end, and that probably means Hargrave's going to start at nose tackle to start the season. You know, Key and Cisse were the only guys who weren't subbed out after that 3 and out. Maybe he's frustrated about that, but like you look at the Packers got 9 corners on the roster, and 3 of their top 6 guys were injured, right? Carrington Valentine is out, Damani Jackson was out, and Kamal Haddon was out. we saw what happened when Simpson, Bartholomew, and MJ Devonshire went on the field. I mean, they gave up 3 touchdowns in a row to end the game after, even the third team unit was still holding the lead in the late third quarter. The fourth team unit just got blasted. So, like, maybe he was frustrated that because of the injuries and stuff like that he had to play with the second team unit and stuff like that, and he didn't just get a rest after the 3 and out. But even the quote that he had in the locker room where he was talking about, like, I don't know, maybe I'm punished and like all this stuff, but like at the end of it, he was like, yeah, I'm not really competing with anyone. I'm competing with myself. I'm just putting my head down and I'm trying to do the work. And it's like people just like get like the one sentence
snippets,
and then like the sentence immediately after is like it's completely opposite of what the first sentence is. And that's coming from the coaching quote and the Keyshawn quote. And I just think like we're at the point now where like fans expect Keyshawn to like get cut or something like that. And just like they're going to be surprised when he's starting in week 1. And it's like it's because of how things are being framed in the media and how you're consuming them. They've shown no intention of wanting to bench Keyshawn at all. At all.
Yeah.
And I know people are like, so they do the thing, right, where they're like, okay, we want to bench Keyshawn and have him play special teams.
Yep.
Right? So the starters then are Brandon Cisse and Carrington Valentine. I don't think fans want to start Carrington Valentine. Fans don't realize that Benjamin St. Juste is so far behind as corner 4 that he's like not really even in that competition right now. It's CV and Cisse.
Yeah.
So
he has certainly been the 4th. Yep.
Yeah. I just don't know if like, I don't know if people are keeping close enough tabs on this.
In general, new and shiny is good. Benjamin St. Juste and Brandon Cisse, they don't have images of missing a tackle or giving up a big play.
St. Juste does. He's in a different uniform, but yeah.
he has it for sure. No question, but they don't know it, so they haven't, most people haven't dug into, Benjamin St. Juste tape. So, so new and shiny is good. And Keyshawn and, Carrington are old hat and they're bad. So, I still expect Keyshawn to be the starter. I am intrigued, and we talked about this the other day. I'm a little intrigued to see what happens when Carrington comes back to team. Is there any sort of more rotation there? Is there something where they're willing to do something a little bit different?
Cisse's building momentum, and the longer CV is out, the more momentum he gets to build. So
I didn't mean with Cisse. I meant with Nixon. Is there a potential competition between Valentine and Nixon in that situation? I don't know. If I had to guess today, Justis, I think my official prediction today would be that Valentine, Cisse, and Nixon all get a good chunk of playing time in week 1. I think there's going to be whoever starts. My guess is they take Valentine off of early downs just to get him out of rundowns because he's such a god-awful tackler. And I think it's going to be Cisse and Nixon who are technically the starters. And then in obvious passing downs, it would not stun me if, Carrington Valentine got in there. I expect all 3 of those guys to play if I were betting today.
Sure, and they've done stuff before where they've rotated corners.
Yep.
I could see them just like full-blown, drive by drive, rotate CV and Cisse. That's something that they've done in the past too. So
could easily be the case. Yeah, either way, I think we're again on the same page. I think he's going to be on this team. I think he's going to be probably playing a significant amount week 1. Definitely don't see him going anywhere. I still wish he would get time as a kick returner, but that's another story for another day.
Yep. And Sky Moore isn't getting time as a kick returner either, by the way.
Yeah, it's Savion is your kick returner. Sky Moore is your punt returner. Do with that what you will.
Same thing like last year where they listed Mecole Hardman as the starter at both on their depth chart, and Mecole just never returned a kick at all in the preseason.
Is Sky Moore currently on the kick return depth chart?
He's number 1.
Yeah. I took like 5 seconds into that depth chart and realized, this isn't real at all. And I'm like, I
think most of it was right. I think, one of the weird things was the Carl Brooks starting over Javon Hargrave.
Okay.
But like they pulled him after 3 snaps. I was like, okay.
And we haven't seen Hargrave yet.
Kamal Hadden was slot 2 obviously that's Oladapo's gig, but Haddon just came back to practice, so we'll see how that works out. Kick return was a lie. I think outside of that, it's mostly held up.
Okay. I guess I didn't look at it close enough. I should have looked at it closer. There was something on it where I'm just like, all right, that's not real. And I don't even remember what it was. I didn't spend too much time looking at it. All right, Justice. ESPN put out their future rankings, and your Green Bay Packers finished 7th in the rankings of the future, which I actually thought was, if I just going in blind, I thought it was going to be worse than that. So I was fairly happy with the number 7 ranking.
Well, we got a bunch of young guys locked up.
Yes, there's that. But no first round this year, no first round next year.
Yeah.
And just that was a little bit more of where I wonder if that's going to count against them too much.
Yeah, and they define future as like 27 through 29. And I was joking. I put in the feed at APC, and I was going back and forth with a couple of people, and they were like, kind of early to project 2029, right? And I was like, yeah, dude, I don't know what the offensive line looks like in 26.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know what it looks like tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow is not for certain. Yeah.
Yeah. The Lions were ahead of them. I think that one's weird.
Seems very odd.
Again, pass rush, corner, offensive line. It's the same questions that we had about the Lions last year when they finished 4th, I think, in the division. Those are still the issues that they have coming into this season, and some of their linemen are getting banged up in practice already. I don't have super strong feelings about projecting 27 through 29, but it's
same.
It's good to have young guys on contracts. It's good to have a quarterback. I think we're going to be all right.
Did you see PF? I don't have anything to add. Who the hell knows? It's a cool article, and I understand how they're putting it together. And listen, Solak worked on it. Louis Riddick, Aaron Schatz, Seth Walder. Great. There's a good group of people. I still think it's so hard to predict this season, much less 3 years from now.
Yeah, for sure.
Did you see PFF's coach rankings?
I saw Matt was at like 6.
He was at number 6 of the top 10 coaches ahead of the 2026 season. Number 10, Jim Harbaugh. Number 9, Mike Vrabel. Number 8, Sean Payton. Number 7, DeMeco Ryans. Number 6, Matt LaFleur. 5, Dan Campbell. 4, Mike McDonald. 3, Kyle Shanahan. 2, Andy Reid. 1, Sean McVay. No Chicago Bears head coach on there, interestingly enough. But yeah, those are your top 10.
All those guys are good coaches.
They are,
in their own respect. So, like, you were listing all those names, and I'm like, that kind of seems low for Sean Payton. And then you're like, DeMeco Ryan, and I'm like, oh, well, he's pretty good too. And then, yeah, all those guys are good. I'm not too worried about it.
Exactly. This could
be who I am worried about, brother. Mike LaFleur's top 4 draft picks are hurt now, and 2 of them are out for the season.
Yeah. And
that might be an all-time
really
bad team.
Basantis looks really good, and then he goes out for the year. And then Caleb Proctor, which Proctor was it? Caleb Proctor or Kalen Proctor, right? Or Caleb?
I think it's Caleb. Yeah.
Caleb's the offensive line. The defensive tackle Proctor, he went out right away. It was like the first big injury of the season. Mm-hmm. He went out for the year, which is a bummer. He was like the best small school player in the draft. Yeah. And then, now I don't know what I understand that they had some scientific study with Jeremiah Love and playing him that much. That's just all dumb. That's just stupid all the way around, to play him that much in a preseason game. But now he's banged up. And then who's the other one that's hurt?
I think it might be Beck.
Oh yeah. He's out for like a week or something, right?
Sure.
I think so.
I mean, I know, he has a rib injury. I just know it was the top 4 picks and Beck was taken in the 3rd round. Kind of weird because so Mike LaFleur came from the Rams, like Matt LaFleur, and the Rams' whole thing is just like, save your body for the regular season. Don't try. Like, Stafford didn't throw a pass in the preseason opener. It was all Ty Simpson and who's the kid from Georgia? Stetson Bennett. So weird that he came from the place that is the softest in terms of workload in the preseason and in practice and all that stuff. And then was like, I'm going to run my running back into the ground. My 1st round rookie running back into the ground in the preseason.
You're one sort of cash cow. You're one guy that you can potentially count on for something. You're one guy that might get actual people to the stadium to watch something that you're doing. Let's give him the ball 17 times in a week 1 preseason game. Just so bizarre.
They might be all-time bad. They might be where, yeah, I've seen the Deshaun Watson throws. They're going to be bad. We already had Za'Darius like back out of a deal with the Cleveland Browns, and he's like, no, I'm going to go to Atlanta, actually.
It is the most Za'Darius and most Cleveland Browns thing ever.
Yeah.
It's the perfect thing that it would happen to both of those you like individuals or teams, whatever.
Yeah. So you got bad vibes in Cleveland. We got bad vibes in Arizona. The Falcons are out one of their first round edge rushers for the entire year and the other one for 8 weeks. Their quarterbacks, I think they did one drive and then they started getting booed in their own stadium in the preseason. Vibes are bad there. I haven't checked in on Miami.
Malik Willis is apparently having a really, really good training camp. So their receiver, who everyone hated that they took so early, was it Caleb Douglas? He's already like a starter and looks really good. Miami's actually having a good camp. I don't think that that's going to result in anything, but they're having a good camp.
If you have a worse record than the Miami Dolphins this year, you should be fired.
Yep.
There's no excuses.
They nuked that thing. They nuked that thing.
Yes. It got nuked. And if you have a worse record than them, sayonara.
Early results are good on some of the players that they've drafted, and again, signing Malik Willis. I don't think that's going to amount to much, but we'll see. We'll see what Jeff Affley can do with him.
Sure.
All right, 53. I don't want to spend too much time on this because I know you went through this with Nagler. I'm gonna go through, and again, people can check your full 53 out over at acmepackingcompany.com. Are you okay with us spoiling most of it as we go through?
Yeah, I wrote it like 3 days ago.
All right, deal. So quarterback, Jordan Love, Tyrod Taylor. Just really quick, I've seen some momentum so far for Kyle McCord and potentially replacing Tyrod Taylor. I would put it at, you know what? I have a very famous number. I would put it at 0.05% that Kyle McCord beats out Tyrod Taylor for the backup quarterback job. Thoughts?
I think if they were going to have McCord push Taylor for the backup quarterback job, they wouldn't have gotten rid of Drones. Because who's going to be the practice squad quarterback? Because Tyrod Taylor's not doing it.
You want to know what happened at practice that didn't really get too much publicity on, what was it, Sunday? Drones is gone. Yep. And so now the number 3 job is clearly Kyle McCord's. You know who pretty much got the exact same amount of snaps as they did prior to Kyron Drones getting cut? Kyle McCord. McCord. Like, he got the exact same amount of snaps. He didn't get he didn't take Drones' snaps. Like, he basically had the same amount of snaps that he was already getting. And now it was Jordan and Tyrod working primarily throughout the day with still the same amount of snaps for McCord. So McCord didn't infringe upon Tyrod Taylor's snaps or even really seemingly get any more than he had prior. It's just now Drones' 15, 20 snaps or whatever that he got were now pretty much given to Love and Taylor a little bit more.
Yep. Makes sense. I mean, the further we get into this thing, the further the third stringers and stuff stop being as big of a priority. And they're like, yep, you are CTE ATMs that we're going to be using in the preseason. That's when you guys are going to get your looks. Like that Cardinals joint practice, I bet McCord's not going to be out there very much.
No,
but I bet he's going to be playing in that preseason game.
Like 3/4 of it probably, if not, potentially even a little bit more. That'll be his showcase game for sure. All right, running back, Josh Jacobs, Marshawn Lloyd, Chris Brooks. There's literally nothing to talk about here as long as Lloyd stays healthy, Jacobs is not suspended and gets healthy, and Brooks stays healthy.
Yep.
All right. Wide receiver. I was actually, so I go usually I go on a 3 to 5 mile walk per day and I just brainstorm. And I spent a lot of my walk today brainstorming about the wide receiver spot. And I'm going through my mind. I'm like, all right, what would I do between Sturdivant and Nair? And then I'm also thinking is there any way that they could move on from Melton or Sky Moore and keep both of those guys? And I couldn't get there. Long story short, I agree with your list completely. You've got Watson, Golden, Reed, Savion, who are 4 locks. Melton and Sky Moore, which seem like extremely strong bets at the moment. And you kept 7. I would keep 7 as well. The decision to me seems very much between Sturdivant and Nair. You went with Sturdivant. I would go with Sturdivant. And that's what I came to the conclusion of as well. I do think that is a battle between Sturdivant and Nair. I do think it's also a possibility they only go with 6, but you and I landed in the same spot with Sturdivant as the 7th.
Yeah. So I think the Packers roster numbers in terms of how many players are going to make this team, at least eventually. Like, we could talk about tight end and like weird stuff that they can do at tight end in a sec, because that'll probably be next on the list. But I think like the numbers are pretty firm. The one question I have is, are we keeping the 7th receiver or are we keeping the 6th corner? I think that's kind of where I've landed on this team. And, you know, Damani Jackson coming back from injury at the bottom of the cornerback depth chart, that's going to be a factor. Kamal Haddon potentially playing the slot and filling the number 2 role, that could be a factor. Nair is ahead of J. Michael Sturdivant just a little bit on the wide receiver depth chart. They're literally, you know, what would that be, 7 and 8 on the wide receiver depth chart. But with that being said, they're onboarding Sturdivant on special teams in a like very intentful way. And Sturdivant was a guy who, you know, we've mentioned this before, where it's, you know, he's Malik Heath who can run a 4.4, right? He was the lead blocker on the kickoff team for the Florida Gators last year, all that stuff. He can do a lot more of this dirty work. I know him and Nair are both bigger guys, but when you look at like how they're used on special teams, Nair is not getting the jammer snaps. He's not getting the gunner snaps. He's not getting the lead blocker on kickoff snaps. And I think that that's a decent enough needle mover if they're going to keep 7 receivers instead of keeping 6 corners.
As far as contracts go, they have the exact same salary this year. Nair is 25. Sturdivant will be 24 this year. So Sturdivant's a year younger. Sturdivant has 4 years of team control, 3 years that he's under contract, and then a restricted free agent year. Nair has 3 years of team control, under contract this year, then exclusive rights, then restricted free agents. So it's not, there's not much differentiating there, but Sturdivant does have 1 extra year of team control and is a year younger. So that does help him just a little bit if it does come down to those 2.
The other thing too, Nair signed a reserve futures deal, which if you cut him, it doesn't add any more dead cap. I think Sturdivant got close to 200,000.
No, just 15K. 15K, at least.
Sturdivant got 15K? No chance.
That's per over the cap.
No chance.
Oh, he got a guaranteed portion of his contract. That's why.
Yeah.
I was just looking at so yes, 215K. 200 is base salary guaranteed. 15K is signing bonus. So yes, you're right.
So you're paying half of minimum contract just to cut him.
Yep.
And that's just going to stay on your dead cap.
Yep.
Right.
So it's So everything, if it's literally equal between Nair and Sturdivant has the advantage.
You're paying Nair's contract and then also that
215K of Sturdivant. Yep. Exactly. All right. So that is wide receiver. I did pose this the other day. It may have even been to you because we've been on a lot lately, so that's possible. I do wonder if they like Shepard, Nair, and Sturdivant enough to be like, we're going to cut all 3 of you. We know we're going to get 2 of you back on the practice squad. We might lose 1 of you. We're okay with that because we're going to get the 2 other ones back in the practice squad and the difference is negligible.
Maybe. If they go 6 corners, I can totally see that happening.
That could
that might be some of the conversation where it's like, the other thing is like, what if they do both? And we could talk about tight end right here.
Let's do it. Tight end.
Do you need to keep Drake DeEpney if you're committed to going to the waiver wire?
Probably not.
Keep 2 tight ends on the first day, and then teams start filling up their roster, their practice squad, all that stuff. And then you're like, okay, we're going to go pick up a tight end. And then, you know, we'll slide someone out on the second day and hope that they don't get, you know, poached on waivers.
Which does tend to, like, it's very rare that the guy gets claimed on the second day. It happens, but it's very rare overall. Yeah.
Yep. So I could totally see the team being like, yeah, we're gonna keep Sturdivant and I'm just gonna pair Damani Jackson and Kamal Haddon together, right? So we're gonna keep 4 safeties, 7 receivers, 6 corners, and just have 2 tight ends for one day where we don't have to play a football game. And then the next day we're gonna add a tight end, and one of these guys is gonna have to move, and we'll put them on the practice squad.
They could theoretically do the same thing at long snapper as well, and they have done that before, where they cut all the long snap. They cut both long snappers. I don't know who it was at the time, knowing that again.
I think it was Orzic, because then the next time Orzic got an extension, and people were like, he didn't like being cut or something like that. And it's like, it doesn't, because he got like highest paid long snapper, and it's like he got like a $50,000 like signing bonus or something. It was nothing.
Yeah. So they could also go in that direction. They have done that in the past as well. All right. Offensive line, you have 10, Morgan Banks, Ryan Belton, Baco Boele, Jacob Monk, Jager Burton, Donovan Jennings, John Williams, and Darian Kennard. This feels fairly safe at the moment. You mentioned Dylan Wade at the end. Definitely. If there's anybody that I think could make it, I think maybe Dylan Wade ahead of Darian Kennard, but I would lean probably towards Kennard. And this is another one where I think there's a chance. Kennard played a decent amount of snaps for the Packers last year, and Green Bay just gave up a 6th-round pick for him 2 years ago, which probably means there was some bidding for him. Otherwise, they probably could have got him for a 7th. I'd be willing to bet that Kennard gets claimed. I think they're going to feel pretty good that D Wade probably does not get claimed. That'd be my guess.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's the top 10, and we do this every year where fans are like, well, why don't we just keep 8 offensive linemen? And then they keep 10 or they keep 11. So I'm just not going to fall for it again. They're keeping 10. Those are their 10 right now. 11 and 12 are probably Dylan Wade and Travis Glover, and the other guys aren't really roster relevant at this point.
Defensive line, you have 6, Wyatt, Hargrave, Brooks, Brinson, McClellan, all seem pretty well locked in at the moment. That last one, Jonathan Ford, Nasir Stackhouse, Anthony Campbell. If you want to put Jaden Crometti in the conversation as well, you could, but
I do not want to put him in the conversation. Right
that's fair enough. I'm in the same boat. But you have Jonathan Ford making it of that group. I would tend to agree. Stackhouse is another one of those interesting situations. Stackhouse is cheaper, younger, and has more years of team control. If it's close, they could choose Stackhouse. Ford's just been better from what I've seen so far. I would go Ford as well, but I do feel like there's potentially a competition there.
They play, not Crometti, but Ford, Stackhouse, Campbell play relatively the same amount of snaps in the rotation with the 1s and 2s. With that being said, they have a very defined role for Ford, where you're the head up nose tackle on the center. Even ahead of guys like McClellan and stuff like that, who are generally out snapping him on the defensive line. When they get in those looks, they have a really defined role for Ford. I think people imagine that we do that with Stackhouse. In reality, we don't do that with Stackhouse.
Yeah.
He wasn't even that last season. We didn't do that with him last season. We didn't use him in short yardage. We didn't use him as a head up nose tackle. But we are doing that with Ford. That's why I give him the edge right now. But that's the spoiler alert. I think the question of, are we keeping 7 receivers or 6 corners? I think that's the first thing you need to solve to figure out this Packers roster.
Yep.
I think figuring out who the 6th defensive tackle is the second thing you need to figure out the Packers roster. And then the last part, the only other question I really have, I kind of think like 50 of these guys on this roster are a lock at this point. The last question I have is, who's the long snapper going to be? I think that's it.
You hit
50 of the 53 spots are locked in.
You hit one other one earlier. I think they could go waiver wire shopping for that number 3 tight end. That's the only other one I would
have. That's another X factor where they can just have 2 tight ends for a day, and then you backfill and grab a third off the waiver wire. I could see him doing that too.
For sure. Yeah.
But barring injury, as it stands right now, I think those are the only 4 questions that we have on this team in terms of roster.
Things can change in the next couple of weeks. They probably will. in that amount of time. But if they don't, if this is still, I think you're going to get a lot. I forget who always, is it Matt Pickett that puts together all of like the 53-man predictions or like, and like charts?
It's going to be high scores this year. Real high scores.
And just like very like similar. It's like everyone's going to have like, maybe 2 or 3 different things at the top, and like 49 of the guys are going to be the same on pretty much everyone's list is what it kind of feels like. All right. So let's go to edge. This also feels very easy at the moment. LVN, Sorrell, Brenton Cox Jr., Denai Dennis Sutton, Colin Oliver, all making it. Aaron Mosby does not. Nigel Lee Kelly does not. And I think that's probably what happens at this point.
Yeah, it's hard for me to gauge where DDS is on the depth chart right now, just because he dealt with the illness and stuff. But they treated Sorrell as a starter.
Yeah,
I'm going to assume that he's going to be starting opposite of LVN. They use Brent Cox like 1 snap more with the 1s and 2s than Colin Oliver. With that being said, they use Cox more on base downs and they use Colin Oliver more on pass rushing situations, which I think, right? Oliver is a small pass rusher. You probably want him on 3rd downs. You don't want him stopping the run or anything like that. I think that's the only thing of note. I mean, the only other guy who's like roster relevant to me, Aaron Mosby, he's a special teamer. If he makes the roster, he'll be a vested veteran. His contract, his P5, his game checks will fully guarantee because of how many years that he's played in the league. I think he's going to end up on the practice squad. I'm sure that he's going to end up activated for some football games down the stretch when guys get banged up, but I don't envision him being on the roster in week 1. Nigel Lee Kelly, I know he's gaining some traction online. He was very undisciplined in this game. The touchdown that Brandon Cisse saved in that tackle was because Nigel Lee Kelly was like past the center when he was supposed to be playing contain on the backside of a run.
Completely lost contain on that play.
He just see ball, chase ball, like no discipline at all. And then when Simpson slipped in the slot and Weegan took that slant for 73 yards, and I think he got down to like the 3-yard line because he didn't score on that play. Yep. He got chased down. Drew Aller scored on the read option, and Nigel Lee Kelly, who was supposed to be playing the quarterback there, just completely took the running back on the dive. They weren't playing scrape exchange or anything. He
did a hell of a Rashawn Gary impression. I mean, a really impressive Rashawn Gary impression.
Yeah. Again, I've been told the kid's a little bit of a knucklehead. Hopefully that, we can rein that in. That was kind of a thing with Brent Cox too. And Brent Cox hasn't really gotten in trouble or anything in Green Bay. He's probably a year away. I don't think he's really has a chance to make this roster.
I think he's somebody that they are going to hope and be very excited if they can get back in the practice squad. I don't think he's going to make the 53. I don't think they're probably
He's another guy who I think he got like 260.
Yeah, he was one of the, I think if not the highest paid, one of the highest paid UDFAs. He was certainly in that conversation.
Ours. Yeah.
Yes. Oh yeah, for sure. Sorry. I should have been clear. Linebacker also seems insanely easy. Franklin, Cooper, McDuffie, Hopper, Neiman. We don't even need to spend time on it.
We're running it back. Zaire Franklin is replacing Quay. That's it.
That's it. Yep.
That's it.
Set it and forget it. Corner, Keyshawn Carrington, Brandon Cisse, Benjamin St. Juste. You have Damani Jackson. This is again where I think the Kamal Haddon conversation, we mentioned it earlier. We don't need to break it down again. That's the interesting.
This is the one where like you can ask me, different times of the day, and I could probably give you different answers where it's like Haddon there or it's Damani and Haddon there. Again, 4 big questions on this roster right now. That's one of them. It's who's going to be the 5th corner and is there going to be a 6th corner?
And if Jalen Simpson, who's had a great training camp and a god-awful preseason game, wants to get his name in that conversation, he needs to go out and actually play well in games because his last 2 times in games has been brutal. And despite him being fantastic in camp, it doesn't matter much if you can't do anything in games. Safety, Evans.
This is why I could not be a GM. I would have cut all 3 of those corners after that game.
They could have cut at least, they could have cut 2 for sure.
Devonshire, Bartholomew.
Devonshire is the one I'm really surprised to not get released, honestly.
They were lunt. We got the UFL, we got the backup UFL safeties signed 3 days before this game. And they were playing better in the Packers scheme than the corners who had been here all camp at the bottom of the roster.
Yeah.
It's bad luck.
Evan Javon Katana at safety. I think they're going to be very excited to get Mervyn Kenyon back on the practice squad. I think they're going to be really excited if they can get Mark Perry back on the practice squad as well.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't, both of them.
Yep. I think both of them are in line too, for sure. And then specialist, Trace Mack, Danny Willen. You have Adamitis. I did not realize that. You had Adamitis as long snapper.
Yeah. I mean, the longer Orzic isn't out there, the more I'm like, are they really going to mess up the operation for a rookie kicker? But then at the same time, the longer Adamitis is out there and they're still holding on to Orzic, I'm like, well, they could have cut Orzic a long time ago and created a roster spot for camp. So I don't know.
I have to figure this out because Matt Orzic is been called 3 different names. 2 of them by Packers key personnel people in the past week and a half. Either Goody or Matt called him Orzic, and either Goody or Matt called him Orchek. And now you're calling him
Orchek.
Yeah,
I don't know that one. Also, taking the time right now while Andy is looking this up, I apologize to our Irish brothers and sisters. I have seen you complain in the comment section that I'm saying Whelan wrong. I will correct that moving forward.
Last name is pronounced Orzic. Matt Orzic. Sure. So there's the final answer. Orzic per Packers.com. All right. Now
short-term calf injury, still on the PUP list. It's week 2 of the preseason. Not good.
Just coasting. Didn't think he had to worry about anything. He might need to start worrying about some things. All right. I think that does it for the 53. Any final thoughts on it?
No. Again, the big questions for me, right? Are we actually going to keep 3 tight ends? Does Drake Dabney need to be on this roster? Are we going to go on the waiver wires? Who is going to be the 6th defensive lineman? I think that's an actual battle. Are we going to keep 7 receivers or 6 corners? The other option, obviously, being the Dabney thing that we just talked about, where we just keep 2 tight ends for a day. And then who's going to be the long snapper? I think that's really the only stuff that's up for grabs right now, unless there's an injury or suspension. I guess I should say
that could be too.
We survived. I noticed you posted and you were like, the Packers survived the first Friday news dump suspension drop.
There will be more. And there will be no more surviving needed. But they survived round 1 of the Friday news dump suspension list. We'll see if we can survive.
I was thinking, I thought about that with Kennard for a little bit. I was like, did Kennard get suspended for like the first half of the year or something? Like, what's happening? But again, that's reckless speculation. I don't know that. It's just weird the way that we're handling that. He was our 6-0 lineman, and now
you mean not Kennard?
No, Kennard.
Belton. Oh,
because I'm like, why are we forcing the Belton tackle depth thing so hard?
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
That makes more sense. I think he's just fallen out of favor a little bit, honestly. But yeah, it's easy to read into something else.
Make it work, man. You got to make it work. I'm sorry.
All right, I got lightning round for you the rest of the way. First of all, I meant to mention this with Keyshawn earlier. I do not need to hear, and I've seen a couple of these happen, I do not need to hear Pro Bowler Keyshawn Nixon. I do not need to hear any defense of Keyshawn Nixon does not need to include. You can defend Keyshawn Nixon if you would like, if that is your prerogative. You cannot defend it with Pro Bowl Keyshawn Nixon. I will not accept your argument in any way, shape, or form if you defend it with Pro Bowl Keyshawn Nixon.
I want on the record that like anytime I'm telling people to calm down about Keyshawn, I'm like, he's like the 40th starting corner in the NFL. And that's just okay. But we're paying him nothing, which makes his contract good.
Also,
that's it. It's that simple.
People may not like this either. If Keyshawn Nixon is the 64th best corner in the NFL, and again, people's mileage may vary if that's the case or not, he's still a number 2 corner in the NFL. If like there's got to be 64 of them out there. That's still a starter. So whatever. I don't want to hear the Pro Bowl argument. That is not a valid argument. You cannot use that in any argument. What is on your short list of preseason watch week 2? Since we may not talk. I don't know if you're going to be on the live show or not, but we may not talk before then. I wanted to ask you really quick.
O-line again. That D-line rotation really. I mean, I think McClellan and Brinson are playing pretty good. Knock on wood. when guys are playing well, I'm not really that worried. Like
Yep.
I'm a squeaky wheel guy, right? So like I gravitate towards that. I know fans want to see like highlight plays and stuff like that, but the stuff that keeps me up at night is like, oh man, Katana's not looking great in the slot right now. I hope Haddon performs a little bit better. So yeah, the backup slot position, the guys who are competing for that 6th spot on the defensive line, offensive line, first team and second team, really, and where these guys are playing, and hopefully Belton gets some guard snaps. I've kind of given up on the backup tight ends, so I'm not even like paying attention to them. The Packers are going to find a 3rd tight end somewhere. I can't imagine Dabney is long for this world.
Rough preseason game from Dabney too.
Yeah. And then hopefully McDuffie can cover the hooks in this upcoming game because he was doubling up with Catan. And yeah, a lot of those explosives early on with the second team defense was because of him. And he's supposedly a very smart player, and I have no doubts that he's a smart player, and he's a team captain, even if he's a special teams team captain, and he's got to get his assignments right.
Preseason for everyone. That's what preseason's for, right? To make those mistakes.
Get it out of the way.
Get it out of the way. Get it out of the system. Are you aware, Justis, that your Green Bay Packers are now very slight underdogs in week 1 of the regular season to the Minnesota Vikings? They opened as favorites.
I was told that. I can't remember if it was one of your tweets or if
I did tweet it out.
ABC were talking about it.
Yeah.
Sure. Why not? The Vikings lost a lot this offseason, man.
I feel good about that game, which is probably famous last words, but I feel good about that game. Sure. That's one where, yeah, might have to take a little closer look at that one. I'll just put it that way. That's week 1. Have you played the new Madden yet?
No, I have not. I probably won't get it until like the end of August or something. I actually don't even know if I'm going to get Madden. I didn't get Madden the last 2 years because I've been playing the college football game.
That's fair. That's fair. I did get Madden. I have it downloaded. I have not had the chance to play it myself yet, but my son, my 9-year-old son and his friend are over because all I've been hearing is how the new Madden is fantastic. I'm like, well, maybe they really fixed some things. Like, this is great. My 9-year-old son and his friend are here playing it. And they're like, Dad, they don't have legs. And I'm like, what do you mean they don't have legs? He's like, yeah, They don't have legs. I go out there. The helmet and jersey is all good. The arms are good. The feet are good. Where the pants would be, it's completely invisible for both teams. There's a completely invisible leg section, and
so everyone's like poo bearing, but with invisible legs.
Yes. Yeah. So that thankfully it's not, if you're going to go pantsless, it's the lesser version. Everyone's just invisible. But I'm like, what? So I go out there and yes, everyone. And now thankfully we restarted the game and everything was good. But that was my very first experience. I go out and I watch, and there's like literally invisible legs for everybody, but shoes are still there. So I don't know, but that was my Madden experience.
They're milking us for money.
Yes, exactly.
Milking us for money, Andy.
Last thing. All right. I'm going to try not to go too long on this. And let me just say this to everyone out there. If you are not a fan of stupid hypotheticals, or if you think that I have the power to manifest things and I do not, turn the episode off now. We'll be okay. You don't have to watch the final part. All right.
The Blazers are moving to Green Bay, Wisconsin.
I know, right? That'd be great. Are you ready for a very stupid hypothetical, Justis?
Yeah, man. Let's do it.
Packers, your Green Bay Packers start 5-0. Jordan Love done for the year. Injury, terrible situation. Tyrod Taylor comes in. First 2 weeks, he's the starter. I know. I deserve that. First 2 weeks, he's the starter. God awful. Can't play. They try Kyle McCord. They get him in there. God awful. Can't play. They lose both games. They can't do anything on offense. They're 5-2.
Jimmy.
Meanwhile, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The Pittsburgh Steelers are off to a 2-5 start and realize that it's Drew Aller time. But Aaron is actually playing decent. He's not playing horrible. He's playing decent. He's playing like he did the last year. But the Steelers are 2-5, and they decided it's time to go younger and in a different direction. And they want Aaron to move on. And now you have this perfect match made in heaven, Justis. Aaron Rodgers gets traded to the Green Bay Packers. It doesn't take much because it's in his final year. He's going to retire anyway. He doesn't want to sit on the bench in Pittsburgh. It's a 6th or 7th round pick to Pittsburgh. Green Bay gets Aaron Rodgers to take over for the remainder of the year. In that insanely stupid, dumb hypothetical scenario, could you see your Green Bay Packers trading for Aaron Rodgers and him riding off into the sunset in Green Bay, Wisconsin?
I don't think it would happen because I don't think Goot and Aaron have made up yet.
Okay.
But me personally, I would say fuck it and do it. So that's where I stand. Yeah, I mean, there are some guys lingering out there. Jimmy Garoppolo, who was linked to the Packers at one point and was like, I'm going to retire because the Arizona Cardinals didn't give me a starting contract. And now he's like, well, maybe I won't retire for the right situation. I think that would probably be closer to the call that the Packers made, but in reality. But if Aaron was on the table for like one last ride, like, yeah.
The only thing on top of this,
why not?
Is like, so I think it takes that exact scenario because I will add though, like Green Bay has no, in a normal situation, if you lose your starting quarterback and it's early or whatever, like you might
no
just
first round pick.
There's no first round pick. So that like you would just tank, right? You'd just be like, all right, you know what? Kyle McCord, you're our tank commander. Like you're going to go out there. You're going to get us a top 10 pick. There's no advantage of doing that. So there's no advantage of doing that.
Here is the Aaron, because Aaron's a spiteful hippie, and I don't mean that in like a derogatory way. I'm from the Northwest. He's from.
We all have our things.
It's basically the same thing. Like I've met a lot of Aaron Rodgers. As if I called him a spiteful hippie in front of his face, he'd probably smile and call me a bastard, right? Here's where the spike could come into play. I believe in the Quinnen Williams trade. The Jets get the highest of the Packers and Cowboys first round picks.
Okay.
So if the Packers go 5 and 12, that helps the Jets, who he might hate more at this point than the Packers.
True.
So could he do this in a way where it's return to home and I hate the Jets tour? Maybe. I don't know.
I think it could happen. I think that's like the only scenario. Because if Aaron is playing terrible, then you have no interest. If the Steelers are good, they have no interest. If Aaron's playing great, the Steelers are probably good. And again, they have no interest. If Tyrod's playing well, you have no interest. If you start like 2 and 5, you probably don't have a ton of interest. Like, I think it takes the exact right through line where there's nobody out there. You're 5 and 2. Your team looked amazing at 5 and 0. You have to do something. Tyrod looks terrible. And you're looking around the league, and the only thing that makes sense is reuniting with Aaron Rodgers. Like I said, very dumb hypothetical. 0.0001% chance of happening. Don't see the world in which that happens. Hopefully, thank God, that does not anywhere near close to have happened because Jordan's going to stay healthy all year. But I wanted to have a fun if, just for the record, everyone out there, if I was a certain type of content creator, today's episode would have started with that conversation, and the picture would have been a picture of Aaron Rodgers on the thumbnail and would have said, Aaron Rodgers back to the Packers, ? Exclamation mark, and a bunch of them. And that would, I would get the rage bait, the click bait. I'd get all the bait, but that is not the type of content creator I am, Justis. I'm an honorable man that has stupid ideas.
If that happens, I'm going to have to watch McAfee every Tuesday again. And that's what kind of was registering through my mind. That's fair.
All right. That's all I got for you. We'll end on that very dumb note. What are you working on acmepackingcompany.com this week, and anything else you want to plug?
We're going to have a bunch of film room stuff up, right? I told you guys, like, I just realized that the game is on Friday and not Thursday. I'm a bozo. So that's going to give me an extra day to get some of these like offensive lineman, defensive lineman clips up. I know people want to break down like the Brandon Cisse stuff. We'll get the video up on the site. It'll probably be on my social medias too if you guys want to follow me there, but it'll be on the site. One of the weird things I'm like already preparing for is like roster cutdowns and like guys that like have had pre-draft visits with the Packers and things like that, and you know, who might not make the 53-man roster. So I'm kind of getting that ready when roster cuts downs happen. Stuff is going to be flying. It's usually a huge day at APC in terms of numbers. You guys want to see the rosters, all this stuff. You guys want to see who's available. We'll definitely be prepared for that in the same way that we were prepared for free agency, where we had like the consensus board and stuff like that people kept going to every single day. So hopefully we find we can pin down who our Josh Wiley, Ben Sims, etc. is. We like to.
It could be Ben Sims, by the way. It could theoretically be Ben Sims.
I was looking at 53-man roster projections, and it looks like he's going to be tight end 2 in Miami right now.
Maybe it can't be.
Maybe it's not.
Throw Miami at 7th round pick. Like they're not going anywhere anyway. They'll take all the draft capital they can get.
Do it. Yeah, Dabney. Yeah,
no,
the tight ends are number
2. They have Dulcich and Kasmarek. That like he could be 3. He can't be like. I think those 2 will be ahead of him. But I don't know. What the hell do I know? I'm not a Dolphins aficionado.
I'm looking it up right now.
It's got to be Kasmarek's got to be number 2 by now. He looks at least good enough, and Dulcich is actually kind of broke out last year. It's going to be Dulcich 1, Kasmarek 2, Ben Sims 3 is my guess. That's the
they have him keeping 4 tight ends. Ben Sims is 2 ahead of Kasmarek, and then they also have him keeping Torrey, I believe is how you say it. He's
a late draft pick.
Yeah, he was the Mississippi State guy that they picked in the 6th round, and he's an international exemption guy, even though he played college football in the States.
They got Dulcich and 2 rookies. They don't need Ben Sims. There's trade somebody over there. You can probably do a player for player swap somewhere.
I'm sure there's a team that is going to have a tight end available. Let's just go find it. I mean, I guess the big question is is it worth a draft pick if Musgrave is going to come back at some point? So.
It's probably not worth a draft pick. It probably is if there's a player they liked on Green Bay that we wanted to get rid of, and you could do a change of scenery, something that's probably.
Would you like Nasir Stackhouse?
Sure, that works. I'm all for it. Jonathan Ford, Nasir Stackhouse, one of those guys. Anthony Campbell's amazing. You got to come get Anthony Campbell. All right, Justis, I'll let you go. Thank you so much for everything as always. Appreciate you so freaking much. Go follow him, JUMOSQ, acmepackingcompany.com. You know where to find me. We'll see you guys soon, but until next time, and as always, go Pack Go.